slow, dreamy, cool, peaceful, hypnotic pacing, tone. Slow descent into night. The night began softly. Long before the moon lifted her silver face above the horizon, the entire valley was already settling, breathing in a long, peaceful sigh. And in the middle of that quiet valley stood a tiny cottage with warm amber windows glowing through the blue haze of dusk. Inside the cottage lived Elion, a gentle wanderer with a heart tuned to the quiet places of the world. He had spent years traveling to forests, rivers, and old forgotten paths, learning the soft music that the nighttime world offered freely to anyone willing to listen slowly and deeply. Tonight, though, tonight would be different. Tonight was the night the stars would whisper. And Elion, tired from long days, felt an invitation drifting through the air, an invitation to step outside and follow the soft pull of the night. He wrapped himself in a warm cloak, pushed the wooden door open, and stepped into the cool embrace of twilight. The dream-quiet forest path. The moment Elion stepped outside, the forest greeted him gently. The leaves above rustled not with wind, but with something more delicate, almost like they were stirring themselves into a lullaby. Each breath of air felt slow and silky, gliding across his skin like cool midnight water. He followed a narrow path softened by pine needles. With every step, the world seemed to slow and slow and slow. The trees grew taller as he walked, their branches arching overhead, forming a living tunnel that protected the quiet inside it. The soft glow of bioluminescent moss lined the roots at his feet, lighting the path with pale blue shimmer. A faint rhythm echoed far away, like a heartbeat hidden inside the earth. Thump, thump, thump. The farther he walked, the quieter his own thoughts became. They drifted apart like feathers in a gentle breeze, floating away until only calm remained. The forest seemed to welcome him deeper, guiding him toward its most peaceful heart. The moonlit clearing. After a long walk, though Elion couldn't tell how long because time had softened into something fluid, he reached a glowing clearing. The moon had risen high now, pouring soft silver light across a calm meadow. Fireflies drifted like floating embers, their tiny lights pulsing in slow harmony. At the center of the clearing stood a large stone, smooth and warm, as though it had been waiting for someone to rest upon it. Elion sat down, and the forest seemed to sigh with relief, like this was exactly what the night had been hoping for. Above him, the stars shimmered delicately, not bright, not sharp, but softened, their light blurring gently at the edges like watercolor strokes dissolving into the sky. A tender breeze drifted through, carrying the scent of wild lavender and cool river air. Everything around him slowed into a dreamlike stillness. And then he heard it, a faint whisper. At first, it sounded like wind brushing softly through tall grass, but the sound grew clearer, warmer, softer. It was a star, whispering. The whispering stars. The first whisper drifted down like a falling snowflake. Stay with us a while. Elion's eyes lifted slowly toward the sky. The stars glowed a little brighter, sparkling with gentle life. Another whisper floated down, "Rest your heart." Then another, "You've walked far enough for today." Their voices were calm and soft and slow, like an ocean tide that never rushed. Elion lay back on the warm stone, and the world around him melted into comfort. The stars began to hum, a delicate vibration that wrapped his thoughts in a soft, velvety blanket. The sound was ancient, older than time, carrying a wisdom too gentle for words. Each whisper kissed the air with warmth. Breathe. Let the night carry you. Drift with us. And with every whisper, Elion's body felt heavier, softer, more at ease, as though he were sinking into the stone beneath him, melting into it, becoming part of the night itself, drifting toward the river of dreams. After a long while, though again time had become unimportant, the stone shifted beneath him, not physically, but in a feeling, a pull, a gentle nudge toward deeper rest. He rose slowly, guided not by thought, but by instinct. A trail of tiny starlit motes hovered in the air, forming a glowing ribbon that led him through a darker part of the forest, where tall trees framed the path like guardians. Eventually, the trees opened into a moonlit riverbank. The river flowed like liquid silver, moving in slow waves, each ripple sparkling with stardust. Mist curled along the surface, glowing softly as it rose. A wooden boat waited at the edge of the river, simple, unmoving, silent as sleep. Elion stepped inside, and the boat began to drift without a sound. The river carried him slowly forward, and forward, and forward, as though he were gliding on a ribbon of moonlight. The stars reflected on the water, their whispers echoing faintly now, blending with the gentle sound of the flowing river. The longer he drifted, the deeper the calm became, so deep it felt bottomless. The valley of endless night. The river eventually widened into a vast valley where night never hurried, and dreams floated freely across the air like drifting petals. The sky above shimmered with enormous constellations, each one glowing softly, painting the valley in gentle silver light. The boat slowed, then stopped. Elion stepped out onto a bed of soft grass that felt like warm velvet beneath his feet. Above him, a quiet voice, so faint it could have been thought rather than sound, spoke. "Rest here. Stay as long as you wish. This valley holds the dreams of all who seek peace." And Elion felt his body grow heavier, more relaxed, as though invisible hands were guiding him gently to the ground. He lay on his back, breathing slowly and deeply. The grass cushioned him in a perfect cradle. The stars looked closer now, closer than he had ever seen them before. The gentle awakening between dreams. Elion did not wake in the usual sense. Instead, he drifted into a new place within his dream, a midpoint between waking and sleeping, a soft, glowing space where time moved like drifting mist. At first, he felt only warmth. A gentle golden light rested on his eyelids, not bright, not sharp, but soft like sunrise filtered through silk. He breathed slowly, letting that warmth soak into him, letting it flow through his chest, his fingertips, and the quiet spaces of his mind. When he finally opened his eyes, he found himself lying in a field of moonlit flowers. Their petals glowed with pale silver, swaying in a breeze so soft it barely touched his skin. The world around him hummed with quiet, a slow, peaceful rhythm, like the world itself was asleep, yet still dreaming beautifully. Elion rose to sit among the flowers, not hurried, not startled, just gently drifting into awareness. There was no urgency here. Every movement felt like it was meant to be slow, weighted, calm. And then he noticed something glowing softly in front of him. A lantern, hanging from a simple wooden post, swaying gently, even though the air was still. Its light pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat, warm, soft, alive. The lantern that knows your dreams. Elion approached it, drawn in the same way he had been drawn to the whispering stars. The lantern's glow deepened as he neared, its golden light reflecting in his eyes with a warm shimmer. Without touching it, he felt its presence reaching toward him, gentle, welcoming, comforting. A voice soft as distant wind spoke, "Dreamkeeper." Elion looked around, but no one else was there. The voice seemed to come from everywhere, yet nowhere, as though the air itself had spoken. The lantern swayed again, another whisper. "You are safe. You are watched over. You are guided." The glow warmed his chest, easing something inside him he hadn't even realized was tight. For a moment, he simply breathed, and the lantern breathed with him, its light rising gently as he inhaled and dimming softly as he exhaled. A perfect, peaceful harmony. Then the whisper came again, even softer. Follow where the light leads. The lantern lifted itself from the post and floated into the air, not high, just enough to hover at Elion's walking height. It drifted forward slowly, unhurried, inviting, glowing with a steady, comforting golden pulse. Elion stood, wrapped his cloak tighter around him, and began to follow the path of deep quiet. The floating lantern guided him to a narrow path woven between tall midnight trees. The forest here felt different, slower, softer, as though each step took him deeper into the heart of rest. The ground was blanketed in moss, so plush and gentle it felt like walking on warm clouds. Every sound had softened into near silence. The rustling leaves sounded like distant whispers. The lantern's soft hum echoed peacefully between the trees. Even Elion's own breath became slow and deep, slower and deeper still with each step he took. As he followed, he began to notice the stars through the branches overhead. They moved with him, not twinkling, not flickering, just glowing steadily like patient guardians watching from above. The lantern drifted a little farther ahead, slower, so much slower, as if the path itself encouraged rest. Elion's eyelids began to feel heavier, not from exhaustion, but from the deep comfort that wrapped around him like velvet. The forest whispered a lullaby made of leaves and wind, and each note seemed to settle deeper into his body. Rest your steps. The night holds you. Everything blended into calm. The path, the lantern, the leaves, his soft, heavy breath. A gentle harmony carrying him deeper into comfort. The bridge to silent waters. After what felt like both moments and eternity, the forest opened into a small clearing with a wooden bridge arching over still, mist-covered water. The lantern hovered at the start of the bridge. Its glow brightened again, slowly, warmly, inviting Elion to cross. He stepped onto the bridge, and the wood beneath his feet felt warm, as though the night had been holding it gently until he arrived. Halfway across, the lantern dimmed into a soft ember glow. The water below reflected his footsteps like ripples of moonlight. The whole scene felt quieter than quiet, a serene hush, a pause in the cosmos, a place where no worries could follow. And when he reached the other side, the lantern drifted higher into the air and released a whisper so soft it felt like it melted into the night. You are close. Elion exhaled slowly, and the world around him exhaled with him. Fade, toward sleep, deeper descent. The lantern led him onto a path lined with starflowers, tiny blossoms that opened as he walked past, releasing faint glittering dust into the air. Each step sent a wave of calm through his body. Each breath made his limbs heavier, warmer, slower, as though his entire being was preparing for deeper rest. The lantern paused, then whispered, "The next dream waits." Its glow expanded softly, washing over him in waves of warmth. Elion felt his eyes grow heavy again. His breath thickened, smooth, slow. The world around him dimmed beautifully, and just as he began to drift once more into the deepest layers of sleep, the lantern whispered the dreamy, warm, peaceful, hypnotic pacing tone, the hall of soft echoes. Elion drifted back into awareness the way someone rises gently from warm water, slowly, peacefully, without urgency. He found himself standing at the entrance of a vast, shimmering hall carved into the heart of a moonlit mountainside. The stone walls glowed with soft, translucent blue light, as though the mountain itself held starlight deep within its core. The floating lantern hovered beside him, its glow calm and steady. Ahead, the inside of the hall pulsed gently with waves of sound, but not loud sound, not music, not voices, just soft echoes. Echoes with no source. Echoes that seemed to drift through the air like feathers. Every whispering sound felt soothing, calming, and warm. The lantern moved forward slowly, inviting Elion to follow. He stepped inside. The healing echoes. As soon as he entered the hall, a wave of soft vibration washed over him. Not a sound he heard with his ears, but something he felt in his chest. A delicate hum, gently loosening every bit of tension still inside him. The hall was enormous, yet quiet, its ceiling stretching high into an unseen sky. But instead of feeling overwhelming, the space felt comforting, like a giant cradle of sound and silence woven together. The echoes drifted around him, each one warm and slow. Rest. You are held. Be still. Every echo softened his thoughts further, as if each one brushed gently against his mind, smoothing away anything sharp or restless. Elion closed his eyes, and the echoes gathered around him like invisible hands, lifting the weight from his shoulders, lowering the heaviness inside his chest, quieting the last remnants of waking life. His breath slowed, deepened, and softened. The lantern's glow pulsed with his breathing, glowing brighter as he inhaled, then dimming softly as he exhaled. The entire hall hummed in harmony with him, as though they shared one calm, steady rhythm. A corridor that moves like a dream. When Elion opened his eyes again, the lantern was drifting toward a long corridor at the back of the hall. But something about the corridor was strange. It wasn't still. It shimmered. Subtle waves of light moving across the walls, as though the hallway itself were gently breathing. The floor looked like polished stone, but it moved like water beneath a surface of light. Elion stepped forward cautiously. The moment his foot touched the corridor, warmth spread through him from his toes to his chest, filling him with a deep sense of peace. The corridor didn't move under him. It moved for him, carrying him, guiding him like a soft, slow current. The lantern floated ahead, its glow now dimmer, gentler, as though urging him into a quieter state. The corridor drifted forward through the mountain, and as it did, the echoes grew softer, softer, softer still, until Elion could barely hear anything at all, just the faint rhythm of his own breathing, calm, slow, even. His eyelids grew heavy again, so heavy, as though the corridor were not just guiding him forward, but gently preparing him to sink into even deeper rest. The Chamber of Quiet Stars. The corridor eventually opened into a circular chamber. The ceiling was made entirely of night sky, not painted, not imagined, real sky, real stars. They shone above him as though he were lying outside in a vast, open field, but brighter, closer, softened to a warm glow that never pierced the darkness. The corridor floor was covered in soft, velvety grass, warm to the touch, cradling his feet with every step. The lantern floated to the center of the room and settled gently. Its glow spread across the chamber, lighting the walls with gold and silver patterns, constellations painted in soft motion. The stars overhead began to drift slowly, spiraling like gentle currents in the sky. Then a whisper came down, barely audible. Lie down and let the stars watch over you. Elion obeyed. He lowered himself into the soft grass, feeling the warmth beneath him embrace his entire body. As he lay back, the sky above dimmed into a deep, velvety blue, and the stars formed a halo around him, a perfect circle of light. Slowly, those stars began to descend, not touching him, but floating close enough to warm the air around him like a blanket woven from glowing feathers. His entire body softened. His breath slowed into a long, peaceful rhythm. He felt himself sinking deeper, deeper into the warm cushion of the chamber. The lantern flickered gently at his side, as though whispering without words. Sleep. Drift. Rest deeply. The stars pulsed softly, each pulse slower than the last, until Elion's mind slipped calmly, quietly, beautifully back into the deepest sleep, a sleep beyond dreams, a sleep watched over by stars and silence. The Valley of Whispering Dreams. Elion drifted deeper into sleep, sheltered under the soft halo of stars. Time felt like warm mist. Moments didn't pass, they floated. When awareness slowly returned, it came as a gentle glow behind his eyelids, like morning light filtered through clouds. He didn't open his eyes immediately. He simply let the warmth settle on his skin. Let the air move around him softly. Let the slow rhythm of rest carry him further inward. Eventually, he blinked once, then again, and discovered a new world waiting for him. A vast valley stretched out before him, painted in calm twilight hues. The sky was a soft lavender, fading into deep blue. Thin strands of silver clouds drifted slowly overhead like brushing feathers. The ground beneath him was covered in tall, pale grass that shimmered faintly with each breeze. Every blade seemed touched by moonlight, and a river was flowing through the valley, not of water, but of drifting light. Soft streams of silver and violet shimmered in a gentle current, moving slowly as though the world preferred not to disturb the silence. The lantern floated just ahead of him, glowing softly, a promise that he was still guided, still safe, still held by the night. A river that whispers when you listen. Elion stepped toward the glowing river. As he approached, the current brightened, sending soft ripples of purple and silver across the surface. Then he heard it, not in his ears, but inside the quiet space of his mind. A whisper, slow, warm, barely there. Breathe, slower, slower still. The voice wasn't a warning, or a command, or a distraction. It was a lullaby in the shape of words. He knelt beside the river. The shimmering current reflected his face, but not exactly as it appeared in waking life. Here he looked softer, peaceful, like someone who carried nothing heavy. Another whisper draped itself gently around him. You are exactly where you need to be. A wave of calm washed through his body. His shoulders softened, his neck loosened, his thoughts scattered like gentle dust carried away by a breeze. And as he watched the glowing river drift past, he noticed something magical. Every ripple that touched the shore rang with a soft tone, a tiny bell-like note that faded before it fully formed. The river was singing, softly, dreamily, endlessly. The lantern drifted closer to Elion's shoulder, as if nudging him gently. Then came the next whisper. Follow the river. Its dreams will carry you deeper. So he rose, slowly, unhurriedly, and began to walk along the glowing shoreline. Lanterns hidden in the grass. As Elion walked, the tall, shimmering grass began to part ahead of him, swaying with a rhythm that matched his footsteps. And then he saw them, lanterns, hundreds of them, not floating, resting gently on the grass. Some glowed faint blue, others soft gold, others warm rose or pale green. Each lantern flickered softly as he passed, their gentle lights responding to his presence like fireflies opening their eyes. Some brightened, some dimmed, some tilted slightly toward him, as if acknowledging that a dreamwalker had arrived. Elion paused beside one that glowed with a warm, honey-gold light. It hummed softly, and a small whisper floated from within. You are safe. His breath deepened without him trying. He felt the warm message spread through his chest like liquid comfort. Another lantern whispered as he passed, "Your worries cannot find you here." Another, "Rest. You do not need to carry anything." The field of lanterns became a choir of quiet reassurance, never loud, never overwhelming, just a soft, constant blanket of calm voices. Their collective glow illuminated the valley in a slow, pulsing rhythm, like the entire landscape was breathing with him. Inhale, glow bright. Exhale, glow soft. The harmony of light and breath lulled Elion further into calm, deeper into peace, as if every lantern was pouring warmth into his bones. The half-dream bridge. Eventually, the lantern field opened onto a small wooden bridge arching over the glowing river. But this bridge was different. Half of it was made of wood, and half was made of dream. The wooden side was warm, solid, gently textured, but as it reached halfway across, the planks dissolved into soft, shimmering mist shaped like steps. Elion stepped onto the wooden side first. The boards were warm beneath his feet. They carried no sound, not even the faintest creak. As he moved closer to the dream-made half, the air grew softer, lighter, as if gravity itself was falling asleep. His next step landed on a mist-formed surface, and instead of sinking, he felt himself held perfectly, supported by something softer than clouds. A whisper drifted up through the mist. "You are crossing into deeper rest." The mist glow steps brightened faintly, and Elion moved across them without effort. When he reached the other side, the lantern that had been guiding him drifted ahead, glowing warmer now, as if it was proud of him. The Dream Keeper's resting circle. Beyond the bridge, the land opened into a quiet circular meadow. At its center lay a stone platform covered in soft moss and glowing dust. The lantern floated to the center and settled on a small pedestal. Soft star mist drifted around it. The whole meadow hummed gently, a lullaby carried on the air. Elion stepped onto the platform. The moss cushioned his feet instantly. A soft warmth wrapped around his legs, then his arms, then his chest, inviting him to lie down. He sank slowly onto the surface, not falling, floating down, like the air itself lowered him with careful hands. The meadow dimmed around him. The lantern brightened slightly. Then the valley spoke, not as a single voice, but as a soft harmony of every whisper, every lantern, every ripple of the glowing river. Sleep deeper, breathe softer, drift into the heart of the dream. The warmth wrapped him fully. The stars overhead blurred into soft streaks. His breath slowed to a gentle, effortless rhythm, and Elion drifted down, down, down into a sleep deeper than anything he...
The Garden of Slow Time. Elion floated on the edge of sleep, wrapped in the deep silence of the valley. For a long moment, he didn't move. He didn't need to. The world around him held him as gently as a blanket of warm dusk. Eventually, awareness returned like a soft hand brushing his cheek, not fully waking him, just guiding him to the next dream. The air around him shimmered with faint golden dust. He felt it settle on his skin like warmth from a distant sun. When he opened his eyes, the world had changed again. The meadow was gone. The river's glow had faded. And now he stood in the entrance of a vast garden. A garden unlike anything found in waking life. The lantern hovered beside him, dim and steady, its glow blending with the soft golden haze drifting through the air. Elion took a slow breath in, and the whole garden breathed with him. A garden suspended in time. He stepped forward, and the dream shifted gently around him. The flowers here did not sway with the breeze. They drifted, slowly, as if underwater. Petals of lavender, teal, rose, and silver moved with a soft, weightless motion. Leaves unfurled in long, slow spirals, so slow he could watch each curve open like the hand of a sleeping giant. Every color here seemed softened, blended with the warm golden mist floating above the ground. A soft, unhurried whisper reached him. "Welcome to the Garden of Slow Time." Elion looked around in awe. Nothing rushed here. Nothing hurried. Even the air moved as if each movement were carefully placed, measured, gentle. deliberate. The very atmosphere encouraged his body to slow further, until his breaths stretched like silk threads pulled through warm water. His thoughts quieted almost instantly. Footsteps that leave gentle trails of light. Elion began walking along a narrow path lined with glowing grass. Each step he took left a trail of soft light behind him, warm gold at first, then fading to pale white, then disappearing entirely. It felt as though the garden was recording his presence in its own gentle language. The lantern hovered at his side, its glow pulsing with his heartbeat, slow, steady, peaceful. A low, warm hum filled the air. It wasn't music. It wasn't a voice. It was the sound of a world in deep rest. Every time Elion inhaled, the garden brightened. Every time he exhaled, the garden dimmed. Their rhythms had become one. The trees that dream awake. Elion wandered deeper into the garden until he came upon a cluster of tall, shimmering trees. Their bark glowed with swirling patterns, like constellations carved into living wood. Their branches hung low, as if weighed down by centuries of dreams. When Elion approached, the branches shifted slightly, releasing tiny glowing spores that drifted upward like soft floating stars. The spores gathered around him, warming his skin, loosening his muscles, inviting his mind deeper into sleep. A whisper curled around him like warm breath. The dream trees remember every sleeper who has passed here. The lantern dimmed in reverence. Elion touched the trunk of one tree, and instantly warmth spread through his hand, down his arm, into his chest. And for a moment he heard voices, not loud, not clear, but soft overlapping murmurs. Laughter, sighs, memories wrapped in velvet, dreams whispered centuries ago, all of them drifting like the hum of distant starlight. He felt none of it weigh him down. The memories were not heavy. They were soothing, a chorus of calm spirits keeping watch. The pool where time rests. Past the dream trees, Elion found a circular pool of water. Except it wasn't water. It was liquid stillness. The surface didn't move. Not a ripple, not a shimmer. Just perfect, endless calm. He knelt beside it. For a moment, he saw nothing but quiet darkness. Then, slowly, shapes formed. Not reflections, but moments. Memories of nights when he had felt peace, quiet, comfort. A warm blanket on a rainy evening. A gentle breeze through an open window. Soft humming from someone he loved. A childhood moment of drifting to sleep without worry. None of the memories felt emotional or heavy. Here in the garden of slow time, they were simply warm lights glowing inside him. The whisper returned. This pool shows you the rest you have forgotten and the peace that still waits for you. Elion dipped his 2 fingers into the surface. The stillness spread over his hand like warm silk. A deep sigh escaped his lips, unforced, unthinking, just pure relief. The calm moved through his body in slow waves, relaxing everything it touched. A seat made for sleeping hearts. Beside the pool sat a stone bench covered in soft moss. It was shaped perfectly to hold someone in rest, not sitting, not lying, but in a gentle in-between posture that helped the body loosen and the mind drift. The lantern floated over the bench. Its glow deepened in color, not bright, not sharp, but warm like the memory of candlelight behind closed eyelids. Elion settled onto the bench. The moss cushioned him instantly, forming to his shape like it had been grown specifically for him. His body melted into stillness. His breathing slowed to a whisper. His eyelids grew heavy, then heavier, then impossibly heavy. A final whisper curled through the garden like a lullaby. Sleep deeper, Elion. Your journey is far from over, and rest will guide you to the next dream. The lantern dimmed, and the garden exhaled, and Elion drifted down, down, down into the slowest, calmest sleep of all.
The sky above the village deepens into a velvet shade of midnight blue, and the first stars begin to shimmer like tiny lanterns hung by ancient guardians of the sky. Their glow spilled softly over the quiet rooftops, brushing the world with silver calm. Down the gentle path, the traveler moves slowly, feeling the night settle around them like a warm blanket. Each step is lighter than the last, as though the ground itself is guiding them toward rest. The breeze turns even more delicate, cool and feathery as it glides across the skin. It carries with it a distant sound, water, flowing, steady, soothing. A river lies nearby, hidden beneath a cover of whispering willows. The traveler follows the sound. Soon, the path widens into a moonlit clearing, and there it is, a peaceful river glowing with faint ribbons of silver. The moon sits perfectly above it, its reflection drifting and rippling like a slow-moving dream. Along the bank, dozens of lanternberries glow with warm golden light. They sway gently, casting dancing shadows across the water. Each glow seems to pulse in time with the traveler's breath, encouraging it to slow, to deepen, to soften. The scent of night jasmine rises from the mossy ground, sweet, cool, and calming. The traveler kneels near the water's edge and dips a hand into the river. The water is cool but comforting, as if carrying the memory of ancient lullabies. The ripples spread outward, shimmering like threads of moonlit silk across the river's surface. A soft whisper travels through the air, so faint it could almost be imagined. It says nothing in words, only a feeling of safety, stillness, rest. The traveler closes their eyes for a moment, letting the calm deepen. The surrounding forest responds in its own quiet way. Willow branches swaying slowly, crickets singing gentle rhythms, distant owls calling in soft echoes that rise and fall like a cradle rocking in the dark. The night is peaceful. The world is slow. The traveler breathes, and the river breathes with them. When they open their eyes again, glowing boats made of woven leaves float down the river. Each one holds a tiny, soft blue flame that never flickers. The flames drift across the water like drifting stars, guiding the traveler forward. They rise and follow the river downstream, each step softer, smoother, quieter. The forest sounds begin to fade into a warm hush, like a blanket of sound made only of comfort. The river bends, revealing a hidden stone bridge covered in moss and soft ivy. The traveler steps onto the bridge, feeling the ancient stones warm beneath their feet, as though touched by a gentle memory of sunlight. On the other side, a pathway of silver sand leads deeper into the glowing night. A night meant for sleep. A night meant for peace. A night meant to cradle the weary heart and quiet the wandering mind. And so the traveler continues, deeper into the dreamlike stillness, guided only by moonlight, river song, and the soft pulsing glow of night magic.
As the traveler follows the silver-sanded path, the forest begins to change around them. The willows give way to tall, ancient trees with trunks so wide they look like pillars of an old cathedral. Their branches stretch high overhead, weaving together to form a natural dome. Through the leaves, moonlight drips down like soft rain made of light. With each step, the world grows quieter. The air becomes thicker with peace. Small motes of glowing dust drift lazily through the air, tiny floating sparkles that shimmer softly with every breath of wind. They gather around the traveler, moving with a gentle rhythm, as if greeting an old friend. Far ahead, a faint humming rises, a low, soothing vibration that blends perfectly with the silence. It sounds like the forest itself is humming a lullaby older than memory. The traveler walks toward it. Soon they reach a hidden grove, perfectly round and bathed in emerald-colored moonlight. In the center stands a massive stone, smooth, tall, ancient, its surface carved with glowing runes that swirl like flowing water. The humming is coming from the stone. It resonates in a deep, peaceful tone, a sound that feels like it moves through the chest and shoulders, releasing tension the traveler did not even know they carried. The vibrations spread into the ground, into the trees, into the air around them, until the whole grove feels like a single living heartbeat, slow, steady, reassuring. The traveler places a hand on the stone. Immediately, warmth spreads across their fingertips, soothing, quieting, grounding. A gentle pulse moves through their hand, then up the arm, then throughout their entire body, a pulse that slows everything down into a state of complete ease. The stone shares no words, only calm. The trees respond. Leaves above begin to shimmer with soft blue light, glowing like tiny lanterns. They rustle in a slow, rhythmic pattern, as though breathing in harmony. A soft breeze flows through the grove, cool but comforting, wrapping the traveler like a blanket woven from night air. At the edges of the grove, small creatures begin to appear, gentle glowing animals, deer the color of moonlight, foxes with faint silver tails, tiny owl-like birds perched quietly on low branches. They watch silently, their presence warm and peaceful, rather than startling. One of the small silver foxes pads forward and sits beside the traveler. It doesn't speak. It simply rests, breathing softly, its calm adding to the stillness around them. The traveler feels the last remnants of the waking world loosen and melt away, worries, noise, thoughts dissolving into the glow of the grove. The stone pulses again, slow, deep, steady. The kind of calm that presses gently on the mind, encouraging it to release, to settle, to drift. The silver fox curls up at the traveler's side. The trees breathe, the grove hums, the night deepens, and the traveler feels themselves slipping into a softer state, a dreamlike state, where the world no longer requires effort, where everything is simply quiet, simple, and safe. The path ahead waits, glowing faintly, but for now, the traveler stays in the grove, absorbing the peace like a slow, gentle tide washing over the soul. The traveler remains in the grove for a long, peaceful moment, letting the soft hum of the ancient stone wash over them. Every breath grows slower, deeper, more effortless. The silver fox at their side curls even closer, its fur warm and steady like a heartbeat. Above them, the moon glows in a soft halo through the branches, shining with a light that feels almost protective. It casts silver ripples across the grove, each one settling into the traveler's body like tiny waves of calm. Finally, the grove opens slightly, revealing a narrow path lined with flowers that glow faintly blue in the night. Their petals sway gently, as though welcoming the traveler to a place far beyond worry, far beyond noise, a place made only for rest. The traveler stands, feeling lighter than ever before, almost weightless, as though the night has taken every burden and dissolved it into the sky. They follow the glowing path, each step soft, silent, and slow. The forest gradually thins, giving way to a wide, open field blanketed in soft mist. In the center lies a quiet resting place, a smooth patch of moss glowing softly under the moonlight, shaped perfectly as if the earth itself had prepared a bed. The silver fox walks ahead, circles the resting place, and lies down. It looks back at the traveler with calm, sleepy eyes, inviting them to do the same. The traveler lowers themselves onto the moss. Immediately, the softness cradles their entire body. It feels like lying on a warm cloud. The moss shifts slightly to support every curve, every muscle, every breath. Overhead, the stars shimmer slowly, like tiny embers drifting in the dark. A gentle breeze sweeps across the field, carrying with it the faint scent of night-blooming flowers. The cool air brushes the traveler's face, soothing their mind, quieting the last flickers of thought. The forest behind them hums in a final soft note, long, warm, and comforting, before fading gently into silence. The fox nestles beside them, its breathing slow and steady, like a lullaby made of breath. The traveler closes their eyes. The world becomes lighter, softer, quieter. The stars blur into a gentle haze. The air settles into stillness. The night grows impossibly calm. Every sound, a distant cricket, the whisper of grass, the faint pulse of the earth, melts into one soft rhythm, slow and hypnotic, guiding the traveler deeper and deeper and deeper into sleep. The moon stands guard above, watching over them, glowing with a promise. You are safe. You are calm. You can rest now. The traveler's breath slows to a peaceful drift. Their body grows heavy, warm, completely at ease. Their thoughts scatter like falling petals, fading into the silver night. And as the world dissolves into dream, the traveler drifts into the deepest sleep, soft, still, endless, held gently by the whispering forest and carried into a night with no worries, no noise, no weight, only peace, only rest, only quiet dreams. Good night.